Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Hyperion Hub, your meeting place for all things Disney. Now your hosts.
Hello, and welcome to the Hyperion Hub, your meeting place for all things Disney. I'm John Alois, and I'm joined by Sean Dagenhart.
Yep.
And John Redling Schaefer.
Hi there.
All right. We hope you're having a great week. We certainly are. We hope you're following us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. We're at Hub Hyperion. You can email us or send us a voice recorded message at podcast@thehyperionhub.com. We'd love to hear your Disney story. Please share that with us. We will share it on the show. We like to start things off with our Disney views, and for that, I'm going to kick it over to John.
You know, as a practicing lawyer, sometimes I wonder what it must be like to be in the legal department for the Walt Disney Company. Can't be easy. Sometimes maybe it's fun, but I doubt it. And this week maybe is another prime example of getting into the weeds when you least expect it. As reported all over, and including Variety magazine, in a court filing recently filed in California, Scarlett Johansson has, in essence, sues Disney for breach of contract, claiming that they are in violation of the agreement related to her participation in the Black Widow movie. In essence, based on her court filings, she's claiming a whole slew of damages related to bonuses that she feels she's not going to get because the movie is not going to hit certain benchmarks for the box office because Disney began, with other movies too, releasing straight to Disney Plus in addition to the box office. Now, what's unique about this to me, guys, is that Disney, who is traditionally very quiet when it comes to responding to press inquiries or even litigation in general, they actually responded in the press, which is a big deal. They basically say, and I want to get the quote right here, and this again is from Variety, "There is no merit whatsoever to this filing. The lawsuit is especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic." Big time. They actually responded with this in the press. Now, who knows what that's going to mean? I figure that's probably some initial posturing to get to, we know maybe our contract language isn't as clean as it should be, but we're going to plead to the judge that, hey, unique situation, unique circumstances, everything was changed during COVID. Again, that's just a very unique situation. And I don't know. We'll obviously, these can take months, if not years, or it could settle next week. You never know because they both want to avoid continued press on it. But what do you guys think?
Well, it goes on to say that with the Premier Access, release, it has significantly enhanced her ability to earn additional compensation on top of the $20 million she has received to date. So, I mean, the whole conversation, when you get to the actual numbers that are involved, for us mortals, seems a little petty, but there's a lot more involved than just that.
But let's point out, I don't think for her that it's about the money. The contract was written before COVID, right? Now, since COVID, they have chosen to really push Disney Plus Premier Access. I've been listening to some podcasts. They don't even mention on some of the official Disney podcasts that the movie was released in theaters. They tout Disney Plus Premier Access. So that brought in, supposedly, according to Disney, who rarely shares these numbers, but because it was successful in their eyes, brought in about $60 million. Box office brought in over $300 million. Post-COVID, that's really good. Pre-COVID, that would have probably been below standards for a Marvel Cinematic Universe film based on an established character like Black Widow. I believe that Disney Plus Premier Access hurt box office sales. I think that more people would have gone to the theater. That's speculation, of course, but that's money that she would have received. I don't think the numbers matter to her. I think it's about the respect and compensation that she's earned.
Well, and I think it's probably going to be a benchmark case because,
Yes.
This is coming at some point. So this could be nothing about the money for her, but just the fact that, okay, we need to nip this in the bud now and figure out what's going on and how it's going to be handled.
Yeah. I mean, I can't read her mind, but she may be thinking of other actors and actresses who are going to be staring these types of situations in the face because Warner Brothers has released films directly to HBO Max, and Disney obviously has done this already. They've already upset Pixar with their 2 last films that they didn't even release in theaters. And Pixar didn't care about the money. They cared about the fact that, A, it was made for a big screen, so they want their audience to see it on a big screen. And B, when a movie goes straight to streaming and isn't released in theaters, I think that Pixar felt disrespected by that because, let's be honest, the ultimate goal is to be in theaters, and that's why they make their films to be seen on large screens and theatrical releases.
With Little Mermaid sequels and things like that usually delegated for the straight to VHS. Well, let's date ourselves there. But I get it. And again, maybe that's why Disney is being so vocal. They know that this is a precedential, not presidential, precedential case that Hollywood's going to follow, and New York. I mean, this was filed in a state court, but this could have ramifications on both coasts and, quite frankly, around the world.
And considering that she's slated to produce the Tower of Terror film, that'll be interesting to see how all that works out.
Yeah.
Be curious what that contract says about the early outs for either side, yes.
That's an interesting point, and that brings us to our main topic for this week. We are talking about movies based on attractions. A long time ago, Disney came up with the idea to look at their theme parks and reverse what they were doing in the theme parks, taking intellectual property and making attractions out of it. They looked at the parks and said, I think there are some stories here that we can turn into media. We can produce films and made-for-TV movies and TV shows. There's a lot of untapped resources that exist, and we can try to figure out how to tap those resources. So in 1997, they released their first film based on a theme park attraction, and that kind of kicked everything off. As we talk about these, some of the movies I think we all have heard of, some of us love, some are not the best, and I'll bet you there's at least one on here that you guys either haven't heard of the film or knew that it was part of a attraction property. Okay?
Challenge accepted.
All right. In 1997, a made-for-TV film, The Tower of Terror, was released. The Steve Guttenberg, Kirsten Dunst vehicle.
Slow-moving vehicle.
It's
Was
good.
it based on Police Academy? I'm very excited. Yeah.
It doesn't have much to do with the Twilight Zone, but it has everything to do with the storyline. Of course, we all know about the folks who were trapped in the elevator that was struck by lightning in 1939 in a Hollywood hotel, and that's the basis of the plot. Now, I think the movie, it's a fun film, I'll be honest with you. It's a perennial Halloween favorite in our house. Unfortunately, it's not easy to find anymore because it's only on DVD, and you either have to purchase it on eBay. I think it's out of print. But you can't rent it anywhere, and it's not on Disney Plus. And that film is going to be rebooted, supposedly still, by Scarlett Johansson, who is producing it. But a fun movie to see. Have you guys seen it?
Have not.
Well, if you could see my face, you'd be able to tell that I have never seen it, nor do I think I ever want to see it.
It's a fun movie, and we're going to have you guys over for Halloween, and we're going to watch it. But it's something that our kids like to watch. Actually, part of it was filmed at Disney's Hollywood Studios. They shot the exterior of the attraction there, and you can certainly tell it. It's the outside by the queue. Not anything inside, but the story's fun. Check it out. Next on the list is the one that I don't think you guys have seen, and I will be willing to bet you haven't heard of. It's the only movie on this list that I haven't seen, and it was based on an attraction that actually closed years before the film came out. In the year 2000, Mission to Mars was released. This is a Brian De Palma film who did The Untouchables.
Yeah.
A prominent director. Gary Sinise stars in it. It had $100 million budget.
Never heard of it.
It did not do well. But it's based on the Disneyland and Walt Disney World attraction, which started as Flight to the Moon,
Right.
and then eventually became Mission to Mars, and then was dropped from Disneyland, stayed in Tomorrowland at Magic Kingdom, and became Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter, and now today, seasonally, is Stitch's Great Escape. So you sit in the round in the attraction, and you watch a screen, and essentially you're in a rocket, so you see as you're floating away from Earth. There's a great pre-show too with audio animatronics, which is where Tom Morrow comes from. But the movie itself, the plot is what you think it is. You go to Mars. But again, I haven't seen it. A movie that apparently many people haven't seen. It was released by Touchstone Pictures. So someone somewhere was wise enough to think either this is too mature or we don't want to hurt the Disney brand. but a film that I definitely want to check out. I'm glad it's on the list.
I don't know if you invite me over to watch that one that I'm going to accept. The whole, how closely tied is it to the Alien Encounter ride? Is it?
Well, it was pre that. So
right, but I'm just saying.
I'm not really sure. I don't know.
Well, I think that's reason enough not to watch it. John isn't as knowledgeable as he thinks he is, so maybe we'll just pass.
You bring up a great point. Something that I love about these movies is those little hidden features that we catch in the films that come straight from the attractions. And that's why we love these movies. It's not just based on the story, but whenever you can have those Easter eggs or hidden Mickeys, I think that's why Disney fans are attracted to these. The next one, 2002, The Country Bears. Now, this one was a popular movie in our house with my son. And once you've seen it, you're good, in my opinion.
What if I don't want to see it? Am I still good?
The plot included these, there were some bears. I don't think all of them were from the actual attraction. None of the music was from the attraction. It was about a country rock band that no longer existed, and they were about to lose their famous hall where they played, so they have a fundraiser and try to save it.
So this is the Muppets.
Exactly, yeah. There's even a villain. You know who the villain is? Christopher Walken.
Seriously?
How is Christopher Walken in this movie?
And what was his entire agency team thinking? Oh, mercy.
I have no idea. I was trying to think of that conversation. I don't know how they sold him on it, besides money, of course.
Well, and he got to be the villain.
Yeah.
Okay, that
probably
helps.
like that.
Was there any cowbell involved?
That it was the second theatrical release, and I can only assume that they were saying this is going to be a great series, or this is going to lead to something wonderful. Your grandchildren are going to love to watch this.
Maybe they give him a pass to Club 33. I can't figure out exactly. Oh, mercy.
So you haven't seen it, Sean?
I have not.
Oh man, it's a good one.
Oh, is it? You just said I have to watch it once, and I'm
One
good.
time. All right, now we come to the biggest name in the series, the most successful franchise. In fact, it's the 14th most successful film franchise in Hollywood history. The Pirates of the Caribbean. The first movie, Curse of the Black Pearl from 2003, is my absolute favorite live-action Disney film. I think the direction that they took with this movie, with the supernatural aspects, which we didn't see coming, I don't even know if you needed that. Everything up until that point, the swashbuckling, Orlando Bloom, and of course Johnny Depp and Jeffrey Rush was amazing. Keira Knightley, of course, Gore Verbinski was one of the directors. Of course, you have that amazing score and soundtrack. Hans Zimmer, of course, helped write that. It's just phenomenal.
You know what gets me about that is I think there are a lot of people that are convinced the ride came after the movies. If they haven't been to the parks until after they've seen that movie, oh, yeah, we've seen this. I mean, you can hear it in the cues. I've heard it, that, oh, they must have made this after the movie. And you just don't want to correct them in front of the children, but, you still feel like you should.
And you're right about the whole supernatural element, because you're watching and it's great and it's fun, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute, what just happened? It was almost a totally different movie after that.
Yeah, and I think it's the only, well, it is the only film that then changed the attraction to reflect the film with the incorporation of many elements from the movie.
Well, and the rumor was in Disneyland, didn't Johnny Depp show up once in a while and actually
Yes.
be in the ride? Yeah, that's
Could
crazy.
you imagine?
No.
Oh my gosh. Followed by Dead Men's Chest, At World's End, and then that was kind of a trilogy. And then On Stranger Tides and Dead Men Tell No Tales rounded out the series. There are supposedly 2 more films in the works, and I'll be excited for those. But this franchise in general is just very successful and something that I'm glad exists. And they did a great job with it. And universally, people usually love the franchise overall.
It'll be interesting to see if Johnny Depp is not involved, how that affects.
If he's not involved. Now,
right.
those are rumors that Disney has never confirmed.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. The Haunted Mansion from 2003 also came out the same year as the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I'm not going to say anything bad about this movie. I'll be honest with you. I know that it's not very popular among Haunted Mansion fans.
Jeff Bam, we're talking to you.
No, he likes it. He actually likes that movie. He was on set. So I think that the hardcore Haunted Mansion fans who want that film to be very scary and horror-filled, those people sometimes forget that the attraction itself has a lot of humor in it. And I don't mind Eddie Murphy in the movie. I think he does a nice job. It has great nods to the attraction all throughout, including Grim Grinning Ghosts. Once again, another Halloween movie that we watch every year. I understand that there are other directions you can take with that subject matter that are more serious and still can be fun. I think you can make it scarier, but still a PG-13-ish type of movie. But there is some scary moments in there, and our kids were a little bit afraid at times, and just afraid enough when they were younger. Little Aloy's trivia, Jolie, my wife, and I saw it on the Disney Wonder on our honeymoon, so maybe it has a special place for me. I'm not sure, but what are your guys' thoughts?
I'm not coming over for Halloween at all, is what I'm doing.
I've not seen it. I think I've always been a little bit scared just hearing things about it. I'm like, I don't know if I even want to try it.
I have seen it, but I don't remember enough to even discuss. I remember Eddie Murphy.
Let's say this. In my opinion, on this list, it has the most ties to the original subject matter and the attraction.
Oh, that's good.
Than any of the other movies. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean really doesn't have a storyline prior to Johnny Depp being included into the attraction. It's just kind of scenes, you know? Some may argue, but that's the way I saw it. All right. And then the last on this list is Tomorrowland. Brad Bird, George Clooney stars in it. I think this is an underrated movie. I love the opening sequence. They shot in the original It's a Small World in Disneyland. They actually shot in the Magic Kingdom at Carousel of Progress. I don't think any of those scenes are in the actual finished film, but hearing Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, understanding that there's this whole other dimension created by this company called Plus Ultra, and it's all about a brighter future. I know there's a dystopian future in the film, and that I kind of had a problem with, but for the most part, the idea of the movie and of Tomorrowland was something that I could see coming right out of Walt Disney's head, and it's futurist thinking. So I love the movie.
Not many critics did.
No, not many.
Got panned, didn't it?
Yeah, it didn't do great either at the theaters.
We really enjoyed it. My girls were, what year did it come out?
2015.
2015. So my girls were like 9 and 6, and so I enjoyed and loved the opening. Seeing the It's a Small World and thinking, what could happen if we were on that ride when that happened. And once it got to Tomorrowland, it was like, okay, kind of done, but loved the concept.
Yeah, they went down an odd negative path for Brad Bird. But, he deals in more serious topics if you watch his movies. Iron Giant has some dark moments. Of course, Incredibles does. But those movies are wonderful, and I didn't think this was deserving of some of the flack that it took. It was a good movie. They released some books with some background information that you could read before you saw the movie, and we enjoyed it.
We still have our pins that they gave us at opening night, so we wear them on It's a Small World and see what happens.
Nice. This is all in relation to the new movie coming out that we have not seen as of right now, called The Jungle Cruise, based on the 1955 attraction starring The Rock and Emily Blunt. And I am thrilled for this movie. And you know what they did in this movie that they didn't do in Pirates of the Caribbean? They've already introduced that there's supernatural elements in it. So it's not just about a boat sailing up the river. I mean, there are other things that are involved that we don't understand through the trailers yet.
I think you're in denial.
And with that, we're going to close out the show. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. We hope you can send us your stories, podcast@thehyperionhub.com. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review us. It truly does help people find the show. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. We're at Hub Hyperion. Have a great week, everybody.
We're glad you could join us. We'd love to hear from you. You can email or send us a recorded audio message at podcast@thehyperionhub.com. Find us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Hyperion Hub is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or its subsidiaries. We'll meet you next time at the Hyperion Hub.